The Avoca line is the only way for standard gauge trains to get to Melbourne via rail from the northwest. It takes a long-winded route via Ararat, and the Avoca line is a key connection linking Maryborough with Ararat. But it would get a lot less use if the Murray Basin Rail project was actually completed. In this week's video, I'll be covering the Avoca line's history, closure, rolling stock, services, where it is today, and will services resume. The Avoca line was opened as part of the Octopus Act on the 21st of October in 1874 from Maryborough to Avoca, but it wouldn't reach its full length until 1890 and created a link from the Mildura line to the major junction of Ararat. This connection would allow down trains from Mildura to have a direct connection to the major port of Portland, or a direct connection to the line out west. In 1914, a branch to Navarre was built, coming off the Avoca line at Ben Nevis, which I think is one of the most forgettable rail lines on the Victorian Network. The Avoca line would mostly see grain, livestock, and produce traffic, but a passenger service was put in place to serve the small communities along the line. Initially, the line would only see one train each day. Later services doubled before promptly being sent back to one train per day during World War I. It would see further reductions in the 1930s. In 1936, mixed trains were also cut and replaced with a clapped-out rail motor service. In 1955, several stations were also demoted to rail motor status, before rail motor services completely ceased in 1957. The line saw a gradual decline until 1959, when Victorian Railways axed a bunch of unprofitable lines. The Avoca line was on this list, and it was partially closed from Ararat to Avoca on the 8th of July, 1959. Fortunately, the remaining section from Avoca to Maryborough was kept open due to a new quarry being opened on the site of the old Bong Bong railway station. A loop siding was also installed soon after the quarry opened. This remaining section allowed the line to be reopened in 1966, and in 1996 it was converted to standard gauge, along with the main line to Adelaide. It sat mostly unused. Its only purpose was to store surplus grain hoppers, and was closed again in 2005, until the 2012 harvest, when those grain hoppers were reactivated. Although they weren't sent back to Avoca, as Pacific National was going to reopen the line. In 2017, it was announced that the line would be reopened as part of the Murray Basin Rail project. It was to be reopened as standard gauge, with an upgraded axle load to 21 tons, and over 100,000 new concrete sleepers. The second reopening of the line was due to the mineral sand trains from Menangatang being sent down to be processed at Hamilton, and the line was fully reopened in early 2018. However, as standard gauge conversion of the Robinvale and Menangatang lines was put on hold, it's highly unlikely that these trains would run. It still sees frequent trains today, as all trains trying to get to the ports of Geelong or Melbourne from the north to go via Avoca, causing longer travel times and a less indirect route. If you want more information on why this is the case, then watch Rail Rover's video on the Murray Basin Rail Project. Link in the description. Rolling stock. Rail motor services would be run by Durham Rail Motors until 1950, when for the last few years of rail motor services, they would be run by walkers. Goods trains would mostly be run by X and T class locomotives, but even Bs would run the trains if required. Today, the line is run by many different locomotives, the list being Victorian Railways G classes, Commonwealth Railways GM classes, New South Wales Railways 442 classes, National Express EL classes, Pacific National NR classes, and the list goes on. Services. In 1880, the line only went as far as Avoca, as the Ararat extension wasn't built yet. During that time, a daily service was implemented. In 1905, a mixed return service ran from Maryborough to Ararat every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, services only ran from Maryborough to Avoca. In 1928, trains to Navarre ran return daily except on Saturdays. The line would share tracks with the Avoca line from Ben Nevis to Ararat. A daily one-way service was provided from Maryborough to Ararat, and on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, the service would be extended to Ararat, and vice versa. On Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, Avoca would also see a train running from it to Maryborough as well. In 1954, trains would run on the same timetable from Ararat to Maryborough every day. However, on Monday, trains from Maryborough to Ararat would run on varied timetables, while on other days, it would be the same. Where is it today? Even though the Avoca line has had a rocky history of openings and closures, today it is still open and is still frequently used, and it's safe to say it won't close anytime soon, unless the Murray Basin Rail Project is relaunched. A passenger service no longer runs on it, as it is a goods line, and unfortunately, only one railway station still survives, that being Avoca itself. But the station building is in less than ideal condition. The line speed is also abysmal, being 40 kilometers per hour, which really slows down goods trains in this area. This means the line creates a major bottleneck, and since there's only one passing loop, a lot of goods trains have to wait at Ararat or Maryborough. Will services resume? Just like other lines, services are unlikely to resume. Although the tracks are still in good condition, the passenger service would have to share tracks with goods trains. So if passenger trains were to be reinstated, then a lot more passing loops would have to be put in place. Not to mention the reconstruction of many stations in random desolate areas. Overall, the passenger service would just be an expensive waste of money. The only project which should be put in place is the addition of more passing loops and an upgraded line speed. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked this video about the Avoca line. If you have any suggestions on what line I should do next, then leave a comment below. If not, like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.